I wish we could actually see it. So I.
Well, we're actually on air right now. Welcome to the Pat and Patti show. And, we're doing a couple of things different. We've actually got an editorial that I was going to start out with. It's about education. I mean, do y'all have any comments? Y'all seen it? I mean,
yes.
It
was very well done, very intelligent, very smart guy. I hope people listen to him.
My name is Eric Carlson, Mr. Mrnn on Pecan. I wanted to speak about education today, or rather the fear of education, but honestly, I'm instead tempted to editorialize Pat's choice in headwear. I feel utterly ridiculous and embarrassed wearing. Speaking of embarrassments, let me give you a few more. 42% of American citizens believe in creationism and think that kids 10,000 years ago, when the Earth was first formed, had to be mindful of the dinosaurs running around in their backyards. 48% of Americans haven't given up on the idea that vaccines and autism are linked. Over 1 in 4 don't know that the U.S. claimed independence from the British Crown, or that the Earth revolves around the sun and can't point to the Pacific Ocean on a map. More than half can't even point to New York State on a map. We got a problem, a big problem. There's no excuses for statistics like these. We've got some exceptionally challenged people amongst us, and no Pecan friends. They aren't all liberal either. Obviously, there are a ton of different drivers behind what we're seeing. One of the first and most important, in my opinion, is this anti-intellectualism or disregard for scientific research. We have segments of society that simply don't trust the folks in the tops of their fields. Climatologists, historians, archaeologists, economists, you name it. The fact that they devoted their lives to their passions and research in their fields apparently means little to some people. They can't be trusted, which is odd, because these same segments of society see a clergyman and think that, given his lifelong devotion and study at seminary, that he obviously has the power to speak for God himself and forgive people or whatever. It's ridiculous. Instead of dismissing these scientists and people at the tops of their fields and the intellectuals, we need to start listening. The second driver of our educational performance, or lack thereof, is a little more sinister in my mind. A couple years ago, Texas outlawed AP US history from their high school curriculums. A few weeks ago, Oklahoma pushed the same thing through committee, and it's going to be on the same path to making it law. Now, AP US history is just nothing more than comprehensive U.S. history presented in an accelerated manner for gifted kids. It challenges the students and prepares them for the pace of college courses. Also, there's a voluntary end-of-course test that can earn them college credits and save mom and dad a few bucks. AP courses, they're often taken into consideration when students apply to universities, especially the most competitive universities. They're looking for the cream of the crop. So why would Texas and Oklahoma want to discourage and put their most gifted students behind the 8 ball? I know you're probably thinking it must be something like they think the tests are too difficult or somehow unfairly stacked in favor of a particular segment of students or some other important reason. Now, they're doing this because the courses are too truthful. These courses are written by U.S. history professors and historians from around the nation, and Texas and Oklahoma thinks they're too truthful. They don't want their students to learn hard truths about the history of our nation, for fear it may jeopardize American exceptionalism. The Trail of Tears? Nah, those blankets weren't infected intentionally. They were just clean as the whitewashed history we're presenting to you. Slavery? That war had absolutely nothing to do with slavery. Child labor during the Industrial Revolution? Those kids were just pulling themselves up by their bootstraps and being good Americans. Tuskegee Airmen? The nurse just accidentally mixed up the injections. This is scary stuff, folks. All it takes is one nutjob state representative to propose similar bills here in Georgia. They'll allow it to become hyper-politicized, and next thing you know, you've got Democrats and Republicans taking sides of the issue. And, eventually it'll become Georgia law. In today's environment, we are, we're too easily bamboozled. Why else would we allow too many things to become politically partisan instead of just stepping back, taking a deep breath, and using some common sense? Granted, I've heard no rumors yet about advanced placement creationism being in our high schools, but I'm not sure it's not too far-fetched to think that there's some ambitious politician just waiting for the right moment to propose it. So instead of calling intellectuals elitists or censoring all American mistakes from history, perhaps it's time we start embracing these ugly truths, and maybe it's time we just vote for the guy instead of voting for the guy with the loudest voice, the penchant for the dramatic, vote for the most qualified individual. Hell, for that matter, maybe it's time we actually get off our lazy asses and vote in every election, like they actually matter. If we don't, we could be the next Texas or Oklahoma. I'm Eric Carlson, Mr. Mrnn, presenting this week's Pat and Patty Show editorial. Thanks.
Wow, I'm impressed, Pat.
This is not just about us.
Oh, no.
It's about everybody. It's about...
It's trying to get people to pay attention to the county and what's going on in the county.
Yeah, and, we've had this thing with, a big kerfluff or whatever.
Kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle.
A
Okay,
big
well, that's a lady's word, I think. Very, very dainty and whatever in its own way, because, knock down, drag out,
Yeah.
But they did have one at the commission meeting. We had one with one of our blue shirts.
Yes.
Why don't you talk about that one a little bit? The blue shirts, the
anti-commercialization folks.
Yeah, weren't you
Protect
going to
Paulding.
Protect Paulding? Yeah, they've been there, and they've got a message that they have been beating like a
like a dead horse. Oh my God!
I was just going to say a drum, but go ahead.
Well, I after the elections and the Paulding Coalition got in, I really thought that this would kind of calm down, tone down a little bit, but instead of, they're energized, they're out in force, every meeting, 3, 4, 5 of them speaking, and nothing new has happened, so they're just saying the same thing over and over and over again.
Beating a dead horse.
Yes,
considering that they now hold the majority on the Board of Commissioners, wouldn't you think that they could just stop making the same speeches over and over and over? I mean, it's almost like they want to shame Carmichael or shame David Austin. It's like they keep asking Austin to resign. I mean,
and that is a new twist in that. It seems like the past several meetings that has been an add-on to their speech. Well, why don't you just resign?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that actually ended up with a little bit of excitement in the hall that y'all actually witnessed.
No, it wasn't in the hall. It was actually in the Board of Commissioners room, wasn't it?
Right.
Still in the meeting room.
Kirsten's speech was
Kirsten Liberty of the Protect Paulding group.
Took on, I think, had a little punch to it, and the other side was saying, well,
it was very insulting.
It's defamation, and David Carmichael called her out a couple of times, telling her that she was out of order because she had some comments about Blake Swafford, and then some more comments about David Austin, and then after the meeting,
yeah, but I thought she was right
Kirsten
about some of the stuff she said.
David Austin's daughter and the sheriff standing there, and they're kind of going at each other, and I'm just like, when you have
I was waiting for the bitch slap to really get.
Yes, I don't think it's appropriate to slander an airport director with inaccuracies.
Okay.
Okay.
We don't get personal, please.
The IGA is your legacy. Are you proud of it? Does it make you feel good that the people have no say about the airport through the post commissioners they elected? We're just having a tough time understanding why you have done more to divide this community than any previous commission chair. No other chair has sought revenge on those that didn't agree with them. The community rallied around you because you promised us you would listen to the people of Paulding County. Many of the people on your enemies list even voted for you in 2008 and still others in 2012 without knowing you were seeking to turn this airport into a commercial hub.
Point of order, it's the same thing. You slandered an individual.
Actually, I'm just bringing up facts about Commissioner Austin. Mr. Carmichael, I apologize. I will tone my comments down.
Thank you.
what they do for our country. The airport has country. This has nothing to do with Post Commissioner's anti-commercial stance, but has everything to do with your agenda to further divide our county. My husband proudly served in the U.S. Navy, and I assure you, the 3 commissioners you are trying to humiliate are supportive and appreciative of his service and all that serve. In fact, Commissioner Crow also served our country while you, Mr. Chairman, went off to college. You're making a mockery of their service. 6 weeks before the event, you expect commissioners that knew nothing about a commitment to provide safety and security to approve this with no questions asked. Really, Mr. Austin, this is not your previous yes man BSC. You have fine men that want to represent their constituents even with their hands tied behind their backs by a lame duck BSC. As the leader of all the commissioners, you have a responsibility to do whatever you can to bring the community together, not use minions with false information to further divide us. You are elected at large, meaning you represent all the people, not just your friends, and certainly not slick-talking New York-based businesses that have no concern for the citizens of Paulding. If you find you can't represent all the people of Paulding, then I would suggest you step down and let the people elect someone that can. This isn't about winning or losing. This isn't about you. It's about doing the right thing, rescinding the IGA. Thank you.
But doesn't this say that we're, I mean, literally almost at war, it seems, and we really need to back down. I mean, what was Eric's comment? Says, you know, we need to have a little common sense.
Oh my God!
We need to realize that there probably is a middle way.
There is, but these people, and this is what I've said to them before, to Kathy Helms. We got into a little snark fest on Facebook some time back, and I said the problem with you and your friends, your very uber conservative friends, is that you believe you are 100% right about 100% of everything 100% of the time, and that must mean that I'm totally wrong about everything, and so is everybody else. I mean, if you don't agree with them 100%, then they want to destroy you.
But I think that that's the case on both sides.
I know.
And so what's happened is
both,
you have...
That's why I'm enjoying watching these two Republican sides fight each other.
And that's the problem when you have a silent majority who kind of would like to see some middle grounds or doesn't agree completely with either side. Well, they're just going to get disgusted and
extremists by definition are very loud, and they try to dominate by bullying is a very nature of their existence.
That's who they are, yes.
And you know, they are extremists.
Yes,
and
they are.
I mean, we've got this is not just here.
Oh no, it's all over the country.
It's a trend.
Look at Congress.
Yeah, well, exactly.
I mean, what's happening here in Paulding County to me is just like a little microcosm of what's happening around the country, and that's why when I got involved with these people, this stop group that morphed into a Tea Party bonanza. I thought that we were going to work together. I wanted to prove to my conservative neighbors that as a liberal, I could work with them to save ourselves from corruption in government. And I believe that if we don't learn to work together, we will die together. I'm certain of that. We will destroy each other. But I just don't see anybody willing to do it. I mean, they trashed me when I tried to do it. They used me, abused me, and tried to ostracize me from the county.
Well, because you're not extreme in the way that they are.
Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
Well, yeah, but we were going to we understand this, and we're actually very middle of the road, I think.
I am.
I mean, one of their tactics is to say, but he's a pinko, he's a weirdo, he's
socialist. You're a socialist, and you're going to destroy this country. I've had that written to me, and I'm like, really? I was a Republican until they went too crazy for me, and I was a Democrat until they were too spineless for me. They couldn't stand up to the crazies, and so I just kind of became independent until Pat got involved in politics, and I had to get my Democratic credentials back out.
So I knew you were a faker. I knew you were a faker.
Oh, no. I went to the Democratic Party before I ever saw you there.
I know. Well, I'd been there in years prior, but that's beside the point. But let's go on. What's the next thing on the agenda? You've got a grand plan, I think, of some sort. I mean, this is.
It's exciting.
We need solutions.
Proposal, yeah, solutions,
We need
proposals.
solutions.
Yes, we don't just need people barking at each other all the time.
Right. Well, the general aviation airport has failed. The
Thank you.
anti-commercialization people are
That is debatable.
absolutely convinced that the commercial airport will fail.
Yes.
So we have a plan.
I'm excited to hear
A third
about
plan.
it. A third option.
option.
This is exciting, Deena. Let's hear it.
We are proposing to turn the airport into a dedicated facility for air racing.
Air racing. Air racing, you mean like stock car racing in the air?
Yes, and and here's a video.
Oh,
Well, here, let me get out of the
Okay.
way. Okay.
Oh,
Okay, this is air racing.
very exciting.
Let me get where I can get over there and see what's going on.
Very exciting.
It is
Air
it's
racing.
exhilarating. Absolutely.
Is it noisy?
It doesn't matter. It's over water.
Oh,
Okay.
over water at the airport.
Okay, so in order to facilitate turning our airport into a dedicated air racing facility, this would necessitate turning the property the City of Atlanta owns.
The wildlife management area and the
Yes.
city of
Yes,
Atlanta.
10,000
10,000
acres.
acres.
Need to turn 5 to 10,000 of it
World Championship season.
A lake?
a lake.
Well, if we had a lake here, we wouldn't need the reservoir up on the north side of the county. That would solve one of our problems already.
It would solve one of our problems. And you know what?
What?
We can drink that water too.
Oh, well,
Because we talked about last
how
time.
the PCB laden water from the Etowah River,
Right,
yes. And
right.
so you're saying that the water here would be cleaner?
Yes, because the airport authority has assured us that drinking jet fuel is safe. So it doesn't matter if one of
That's true.
these airplanes crashes, but
That's
it gets better.
How so, my dear?
Okay, well, let's look at Abu Dhabi and all of the splendor that it has.
They
And
have great wealth,
I
and we
am-
don't.
And I am convinced that air racing is the key to solving all of our problems
Air racing.
in Paulding County.
Right next to a reservoir where we could have skiing and all kinds of stuff going on there.
Well,
Okay.
okay, hold on, Patty.
Okay,
hold on, Patty.
I'm just so
Okay,
excited,
now look.
Dean. I can hardly
Look,
control
look,
myself.
Look. Okay, but look, just imagine the streets
Oh.
are paved with,
With
gold.
gold.
And look at what's in the horizon there. The world's tallest building is in Dubai.
And we
Burj
have only
Khalifa.
short buildings here. We could build
We-
tall
we can-
buildings.
Exactly.
Oh my God, around the airport and the lake. What a view.
And that would solve your problem because
It would?
Yes, because your property would now be lakefront commercial property, and somebody could buy your property and build a skyscraper.
Oh, Mamma Mia, this is exciting. Imagine my property was worth less than 50 grand, Todd said. Now it could be worth a lot.
Millions,
Oh,
millions. You could retire in
Oh my
style
God.
to
Oh, to
Italy.
Tuscany. Oh my God, that would be
Okay,
wonderful.
but it gets better. It gets better.
Oh, well, let's
Okay,
hear it. Let's hear
Let's
it.
look at some of the other goodies that they have in
Okay.
Dubai. We can have here because if you build it,
They will come. Woo!
Okay. Look at this. This is an indoor skiing. Okay, we don't have anything like this
Nothing.
in North America.
Nothing
so they
like
would be
that.
coming here from all over the
world.
because I think the only other one that they have is in Dubai. So this would be the second one.
Oh, wow. You're a genius, Deena.
Okay, but it gets better.
It does?
gets
I
better.
didn't think it could get any better.
It does. It does. It does. Okay,
Do tell.
Okay, look at this picture, Patty. These are man-made lakes.
Man-made lakes.
Lake Lanier won't have anything on this. They'll be flocking from all over Atlanta to this.
Oh, we're talking about the palm-shaped islands
Yes.
in the middle of the lake?
Well, we'd have to come up with, our own thing.
Like Duck Islands or
Deer antlers.
Deer Antler Island, Buck Island. Oh my God. I'm going to buy some property on Buck Island. This could be great. I want the penthouse.
Okay. And it gets better. We will have so much money.
Yeah?
Okay, and we have streets paved with gold.
Streets paved with gold in Paulding County. Can you imagine?
Okay. So, our police department need to ride around in style. Look at that.
Of course.
Rolls.
Can you imagine
Police
Gary
cars.
Gullidge in that? Oh my, he'd be happy.
People would be committing crimes
I'm
to
telling
take a
you.
ride in that.
I'm telling you, if I'm thinking I would. I mean, it'd be worth getting arrested to ride in the back of that.
Okay. And the best thing about all of this, Patty, the
Is
most important issue that it solves,
What?
our darter problem. Our darters are endangered
The
species.
endangered darter fish.
Just think how many billions of darters can live in this 5,000 to 10,000 acre lake.
Oh my God, we could become the darter mecca of the world. Oh man. Deena, you have come up with the answer to all of our problems.
And see, you only needed a Democrat to do it.
I'm telling you, you put thinking Democrats together and you got something going.
but they're going to come back, and you know what they're going to say? Who's going to pay for this?
Taxpayers.
No.
We already pay for
We're going to have
everything.
a specialty known as Darter Dinner.
No. PP.
Well, you had millions of them. They're no longer endangered.
Oh,
They've
well, now
got to be a
that's-
delicacy.
Oh.
We need a public-private partnership to pull this all
Of
together.
course.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes, where the public pays the bill and the private guy gets rich. And if he fails at it, we still pay the bill.
But at least we have streets of gold.
Well,
and an
yes.
And an empty
We'd have our schools.
I really do need some aluminum foil to cover this, It really, I couldn't get back up here because it was getting so doggone deep.
Listen, this idea isn't any crazier than putting an unwanted, unneeded airport in the middle of Nowheresville, Paulding
or a
County.
movie studio.
Or a movie studio, because
Actually,
the only reason
it is a little bit more.
No, the only
This
reason
is
that airport.
billions and billions. This is trillions versus a few million.
The,
We just need a...
And the FAA. No, I understand. It was really quite entertaining.
Thank you.
And that was, I understand that is the purpose. And sometimes you need to laugh some to get
keep from
beyond.
crying.
To get beyond the obvious. But
the BS. There's so much.
well, tell us about you. We
We now
understand.
have a third.
A third BS.
BS1, BS2.
Yes.
BS.
A long time ago on my website, on the pauldingairport.us website, that's been there for 5 years or 6 years or something. Anyway, I used to write articles about Blake Swafford, and I called him BS because those are his initials. I did not name him, people. So he was BS to me. And then along comes Brett Smith. So he had to be BS2.
Yeah.
And then they hired Brent Sparks.
No, Brent Sparks didn't get
volunteer.
hired. He volunteered and he also created
But
a
I think
program.
he did work
He did
at
a
the
contract.
airport.
He got a contract for the
So
for
he
their
had
show.
to be BS3. So we got a lot of BS over at the airport for sure. And one of the BS3, he came to the meeting yesterday.
How
and
could it be? No, wait a minute. How could it be BS when we have all three insurgent? What do they call themselves? The coalition.
The Paulding Coalition.
Are
Tony
all
Cruz.
right on for the air show. If we
love it.
can find a graphic, we'll put the graphic up on there
Yeah.
for the air show. And everybody seems to be in favor of the air show, except for I know you, because tell the one what is your biggest problem with the air show?
Well, my biggest problem is that it makes my house unlivable for 2 to 3 days before the air show, because all the acts come in and they're rehearsing. And actually, those rehearsal days are worse than the actual days of the air show. The air show it's kind of controlled. It's like one after another, but during the rehearsal days, it's just like bedlam. It's just insane. The dog is going crazy because she's got all these weird sounds and she's barking, and then that makes me nervous and that makes me upset, and I want her to stop. But and somebody said, drug your dog. I said, drug my dog? What kind of a person are you, for God's sake? And it's just amazing to me that they think I should just be happy. Just be happy that you can't think, you can't hear, you can't stand to be in your own home.
And your house is bad.
And I'm telling you, on the day, I think I told you last week about the day the F-18 came over my house 100 feet above my roof, upside down. I literally thought the house was going to explode. I was pretty sure whatever it was up there was coming through my roof. It was so horrible. And yesterday we found out from BS3 that there's going to be a whole lot of Canadian F-18s. This time the snowbirds are coming from Canada, and they're going to be putting on a show. So I'd say my life out at the east end of the runway in accident potential zone B is going to be living hell for days.
Okay, well, what could mitigate that? What would be can we go on GoFundMe and say we need to get a place for you to
Well, it's not
go?
just me. I'm not the only
would you go
one.
we've already arranged for one thing, which would be to go to the coast. I know that you're not really in favor of going to the coast.
No, it's 6 hours away. I've got things to do.
What do you? Well, okay. Is there anything that could happen besides canceling the air show for you? For you alone? What can we do to make it okay?
That's so Republican. Can you only think about yourself?
Can you? No. Can you? Well, I understand, and that's what it's coming across as. And what I'm saying is, there are a lot of people that want to enjoy the air show. There's you that will be put out. What is a reasonable thing for you to do?
What I said
to accept, to mitigate this, and say, well, have your fun. I can deal with this if you help me do this, or if you make it possible.
Well, I said to BS3 yesterday, he was so happy to see me while I was asking my question, but when I finished it, he wasn't so happy. But I asked him how much was in his air show budget to pay for the people most harmed by his air show to get a hotel room. Had he considered the harm he was doing to the people in the area around the airport? And he hadn't even considered that. He looked stunned that I would even care, that I would even be bringing this up to him, because he sees the air show as just all good. He's not worried about the woman at the west end of the runway that has a horse farm, that her horses freak out for the whole time the planes are here during the air shows, and the helicopters scare him too. He's not worried about the people in Clear Creek who live right beside the runway that have children and families, and they can't function when there's F-18s flying overhead for hours. It's just amazing to me. I mean, Bob Board, my neighbor, he can see the end of the runway, and his house is noisier than mine, if you can believe it. It's just horrible. But nobody cares. The air show people, they only see happy, smiling faces.
Well, I thought it was patriotic, but...
Well, I mean, I love the military, too. My daddy was in World War II. My daddy was in Germany. He took a ride on Hitler's yacht after the war ended. So I understand the military, and I support the military in every way. I support them not having to have their families on food stamps. I support them being paid a fair wage for the hard work they do and the danger they put themselves in. I support them in not having their pensions or their health care taken away once they get home and are in need of services. I support them in every way except turning my life into a living hell.
Oh, come on! You can sacrifice for all of us.
All you're asking for is just a little consideration, and I think
what would be the considerations? What I'm trying to come up with. Yeah.
I mean, they could get me a hotel room away from, not in Florida. I'm talking about somewhere where I could think. Of course, that's inconvenient for me. I need a place where I don't want to eat in restaurants. I've got to be near a place where I can cook, healthy food instead of restaurant food.
And you wouldn't consider, say, even taking a short vacay and renting your place to one of the people that's going to need a place to stay for that. I mean, if you planned far enough ahead, you might can turn those lemons into lemonade. You know what I mean?
Yes, I could let strangers move into my house. How exciting!
Well, hey, look, that's one of the big deals in New York. I mean, where you put on the thing.
I know, and
you know,
I think it's odd. And I'm paying the price so that Calvin Thompson can park his birds a little closer to the house. That's what this is all about.
Well, you got to be able to accommodate some. I mean, it's going to happen. Hey, look, no. Let me put it this way. You can sit here and you can be you could get yourself churned up into such a tizzy, you end up blowing your brains out because of what these other people are going to do, and they're going to do it anyway.
Oh, I know.
So the real challenge is not in their heads, but also in yours. You have the ability to make. The only person that can make these lemons into lemonade
is
for
me.
you.
I know.
And what I'm trying to do is say, figure it out.
I know.
Maybe we can get to that next week.
Yes.
Or we got something else? No?
That's it.
That's it? We'll get to that next week.
Okay.
Hopefully, maybe people will pray for you.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's going to be a big help. They could buy my house, and I could leave this county far, far behind.
Well, that would be an answer to a prayer,
it
wouldn't it?
would. It certainly would.
Okay, doke.
I think that's the
Goodbye.
Pat and Patty show.
Bye.